You've probably asked yourself this question before. Why do men pull away just when things seem to be going well? When you finally start to feel close, when you finally think he's opening up, he suddenly becomes distant, quiet, and almost unrecognizable. It's confusing, it's painful, and it leaves you replaying every little moment in your mind trying to find what you did wrong. But here's the truth most women never realize. Men don't pull away because they stop loving you. They pull away because two essential emotional feelings have faded. Feelings that make a man feel alive, connected, and deeply drawn to a woman. Without them, even the most loving man begins to retreat, not out of choice, but out of instinct. You see, when a man starts distancing himself, most women respond with fear. They chase. They call more. They overthink every word, every silence, every unanswered message. They try to fix what feels broken, but in that desperate attempt, they unknowingly push him even further away. Because what's driving his withdrawal isn't something you can fix with logic, arguments, or affection. It's emotional, buried deep in the way his masculine psychology works. And if you don't understand those two core feelings, the ones that ignite his desire and make him feel emotionally safe, you'll keep repeating the same painful pattern with every man you meet. A man might adore you. He might even picture a future with you, but once those two feelings start to disappear, something inside him begins to shut down. He becomes cold, detached, distant. You sense it in his eyes, in his tone, in the way he stops initiating things he used to do effortlessly. And suddenly, the man who once couldn't go a day without hearing from you now seems perfectly fine with silence. It's in that silence where most women lose themselves. They start questioning their worth. Did I say something wrong? Did he meet someone else? Is he losing interest? But the truth is, his mind isn't necessarily on another woman. It's trapped in an emotional gap he doesn't know how to express. Because when a man loses these two essential feelings, he no longer feels like himself around you. He loses the spark that makes him want to show up, protect, and connect. And since men are taught not to show vulnerability, he doesn't talk about it. He just fades. It's not your fault. No one teaches women what truly keeps a man emotionally engaged. Most relationship advice focuses on what to do. Send this text, wear this, say that. But almost no one explains what he actually feels. And until you understand that, you'll always feel like you're guessing, like you're walking on emotional eggshells trying not to scare him away. The irony is that those two essential feelings are not complicated. They're not games, and they have nothing to do with manipulation. They're the foundation of emotional attraction. The reason why a man not only wants to be with you but feels alive when he is. When these feelings are alive, he feels lucky to have you. When they fade, his instinct tells him to distance himself. So before you blame yourself or assume that you did something wrong, I want you to understand this. His withdrawal isn't rejection. It's a symptom, a sign that something deeper is missing. And once you learn what those two essential feelings are and how to awaken them again, you'll see how even the most distant man starts coming back on his own. Not because you begged, but because he feels that connection again. And it starts by seeing things not through your emotions, but through his. Because men and women love differently, fear differently, and need to feel different things to stay emotionally invested. When you understand that, everything changes. You stop chasing and he starts pursuing. You stop trying to convince him and he starts choosing you again. So let's go deeper into what really happens inside a man when he begins to pull away, and what those two essential feelings truly are. Imagine this for a moment. You've been seeing someone for a while. At first, everything feels effortless. The texts, the laughter, the late-night conversations that stretch until 2 in the morning. He seems genuinely interested. He compliments you, plans things, makes you feel like you finally found someone who understands you. You start to relax. You start to believe that maybe this time, it's real. But then, something changes. It's subtle at first. Fewer messages, shorter replies, less enthusiasm in his tone. He starts to take longer to respond. He seems distracted, distant, like his mind is somewhere else. You feel it immediately, that cold shift in his energy. The same man who used to light up when he saw your name on his phone now seems indifferent. You tell yourself not to overreact. You try to stay calm, but the silence grows louder each day. And that's when the anxiety begins. You start analyzing everything. Maybe you were too available, maybe you said something wrong, maybe you should pull away too just to see if he notices. But the truth is, his distance didn't start with something you said or did. It started with something he stopped feeling. Because for men, emotional connection doesn't vanish overnight. It fades slowly, almost invisibly, until he wakes up one morning and just feels off. And when those two essential feelings start to fade, he instinctively withdraws to protect himself. I remember a story that perfectly shows how this happens. There was a woman named Sophia. She met a man through mutual friends. Charming, confident, everything she thought she wanted. From the very beginning, the chemistry was undeniable. He would message her first thing in the morning, send her photos of his day, ask about hers, and make plans just to see her smile. He once told her, "I don't know why, but you calm me down. You make me feel like I can just be myself." She didn't know it then, but those words were a clue, a glimpse into what truly bonds a man emotionally. For the first few months, everything felt perfect. They weren't just dating, they were building something that felt meaningful. He opened up about his past, his struggles, his dreams, things he said he'd never told anyone before. And Sophia, being caring and attentive, always tried to be there for him. She supported him, encouraged him, gave him everything she thought a good woman should give. But over time, she noticed a change. He stopped sharing. He stopped initiating. He still cared, but something in his eyes had shifted. He began spending more time with friends, staying busy, avoiding deep conversations. When she brought it up, he would say, "I'm just tired," or "I need some space." And every time he said those words, Sophia felt a mix of panic and confusion. How could someone who once called her his peace now seem so cold? So she did what most women do. She tried harder. She texted more, planned surprises, reminded him how much she cared. But the more she reached out, the more he pulled away, until one day he simply stopped reaching back. No fight, no betrayal, just emotional silence. It broke her. She couldn't understand how love could vanish so quietly. She went over every moment trying to find where things went wrong. But what Sophia didn't realize was that she hadn't done anything wrong. She had simply lost touch with the two emotional needs that had once made him feel deeply connected to her. You see, when a man feels those two essential things, he feels grounded and alive around you. He wants to open up. He wants to invest. He wants to stay close. But when they fade, he doesn't feel safe. Not safe emotionally, not safe to express, not safe to stay. And because most men don't have the words to explain what's missing, they do the only thing they know how to do. They retreat. That's what happened with Sophia's boyfriend. He wasn't leaving because he stopped caring. He was leaving because he couldn't feel the two emotional forces that once drew him in. The attraction was still there. The memories were still there. But those feelings, the ones that made him feel like himself, were gone. And when a man no longer feels those two essential things, his instinct tells him to pull away, to disconnect, to find space until he can breathe again. But here's the most painful part. When a woman doesn't understand what's happening, she often reacts in the very way that confirms his fears. She becomes anxious, overinvested, emotional, and he starts to feel trapped instead of inspired. The distance grows, and soon both start to believe something is broken, when in truth it's just those two feelings that need to be restored. Because what truly bonds a man to a woman isn't constant attention or physical attraction. It's those two feelings that touch the deepest part of his emotional wiring, the ones that make him feel like he matters and like he belongs. Without them, everything else becomes noise. And until you understand what those two feelings are, you'll always find yourself wondering why men pull away even when everything seems perfect. But once you do, once you can awaken them naturally, you'll never have to chase again, because he'll feel drawn to you in a way he can't explain, but can't ignore either. The first essential feeling that keeps a man emotionally connected is the feeling of admiration. Not the shallow kind that flatters his ego, but the deep, genuine sense that you see who he is and value what makes him unique. For a man, admiration is oxygen. It's what fuels his desire to give, to protect, to invest in a relationship. When he feels admired, he feels powerful, not in a controlling way, but in a deeply human way. It tells him, you matter. What you do matters. Who you are matters. Most women think men pull away because they want someone new or because they're afraid of commitment. But often, the real reason is that the admiration that once made him feel alive has slowly been replaced by criticism, correction, or emotional pressure. Not because the woman changed, but because comfort replaced curiosity. In the beginning of a relationship, admiration flows naturally. You notice the way he talks about his passions, the things he's proud of, the small gestures that show his effort. You look at him with interest, and that look tells him without words that he's someone worth investing in. It makes him feel strong, capable, and confident around you. But as time passes, subtle changes happen. Maybe you start focusing more on what's missing instead of what's working. Maybe he doesn't meet all your expectations and you try to help him improve. You correct him, advise him, compare him, not out of malice, but out of love. Yet what he hears underneath all that is, "You're not enough." And when a man starts to feel that, he begins to emotionally shut down. Because men don't fight for spaces where they don't feel admired. They silently leave them. They might still be physically present, but emotionally, they start disappearing. Admiration doesn't mean pretending he's perfect. It means recognizing his effort instead of only pointing out his mistakes. It means celebrating who he is, not just who you want him to become. It's the way you look at him when he shares something important, the way you listen without interrupting, the way you say, "I'm proud of you." Those moments are everything to him. They recharge the emotional bond that makes him feel safe and connected. When admiration fades, he feels unseen. He begins to doubt his own value in the relationship. And when that doubt grows, he starts to pull away, not because he wants distance, but because he can't bear to feel like a disappointment to the woman he loves. Now, the second essential feeling is even deeper. It's the feeling of peace. When a man feels peace around you, he doesn't just want you, he needs you. Because peace for a man is rare. The world constantly demands that he be strong, composed, in control. He spends his days fighting to prove himself, at work, with his family, even with himself. So when he finds a woman who gives him peace, who doesn't demand that he perform or explain, his soul recognizes it instantly. Peace doesn't come from silence. It comes from emotional safety, the sense that he can be himself without judgment or tension. When he talks, he feels heard. When he makes a mistake, he feels forgiven. When he's quiet, he knows you're not reading it as rejection. That's why some men stay loyal for life to a woman who isn't the most beautiful or exciting, but who makes them feel safe to breathe. Because peace is not about perfection. It's about presence. It's about how you make him feel when he's with you. You can tell when a man feels peace. His guard drops. He opens up. He laughs more. He touches you gently, not just out of desire, but affection. He starts to share things he doesn't usually tell anyone, not because you asked, but because he feels understood. He stops overthinking, and for the first time in a long time, he simply exists next to you, without pressure. But when peace disappears, even the most loving man begins to feel suffocated. He starts associating the relationship with stress, with tension, with unspoken conflict. Every conversation feels like a test. Every silence feels like disapproval. And instead of peace, he feels like he's constantly being measured. So he starts escaping, first mentally, then emotionally, and finally, physically. He spends more time away, becomes less responsive, less affectionate. He's not trying to hurt you. He's trying to protect himself. Because when a man loses admiration and peace, he feels emotionally homeless. And no man can stay where he doesn't feel at home. But here's what most women don't realize. These two feelings, admiration and peace, are completely within your control to restore. You don't need to beg, chase, or convince. You don't need to play games or pretend to be someone you're not. You simply need to reconnect with the energy that once made him feel safe and inspired. When a man feels admired, he rises. When he feels peace, he stays. That's the balance that keeps his heart invested, the push that inspires him and the calm that grounds him. Without it, he feels lost. With it, he feels like he's finally found home. Think about it. Every man has a different love language, a different personality, a different story. But all men crave the same emotional certainty. Do you believe in me? Can I rest around you? If he can answer yes to both, he won't leave. Because admiration feeds his masculinity, and peace heals his vulnerability. You don't need to become someone else to awaken these feelings. You just need to understand what he needs emotionally to stay connected. Because when a man feels admired and at peace, he doesn't look elsewhere. He looks deeper into you. He stops pulling away, and instead, he starts pulling you closer. Not because he feels forced, but because being near you feels right. When a man loses admiration and peace, everything in the relationship begins to shift. Quietly, slowly, almost invisibly at first. He doesn't slam the door or announce he's leaving. He simply starts disappearing in pieces. His texts become colder, his presence feels distant, and even when he's next to you, his mind seems miles away. You can feel it. It's in the way he hugs you without really holding you, in the way he looks at his phone instead of your eyes, in the way he talks less, laughs less, touches less. And the worst part? He doesn't even know how to explain it. Men aren't taught to talk about feelings, especially feelings of failure or loss of connection. So instead of saying, "I don't feel admired anymore," or "I don't feel peace," he just goes silent. He buries it. He acts like nothing's wrong. But deep down, he's drifting further away, hoping that distance will numb the confusion he can't articulate. And that's where most relationships start to collapse. Not because of betrayal, not because of lack of love, but because the emotional bridge between admiration and peace has broken. When admiration disappears, he feels unappreciated. When peace disappears, he feels unsafe. Combine those two feelings and he begins to see the relationship as a place of pressure rather than comfort. That's when he starts avoiding you. Not because he stopped caring, but because being around you now reminds him of what he's lost within himself. He doesn't feel like the man he was when he met you. Confident, light, alive. He feels like he's constantly failing. And no man can fall in love with the version of himself that feels small. If this cycle continues, his instinct will push him away even harder. He'll spend more time outside, more time with people who make him feel effortless again. Sometimes that's friends, sometimes work, and yes, sometimes another woman who unknowingly gives him back those two feelings. That's why so many women are blindsided by a breakup. They think everything was fine because there were no big fights. But emotional distance is quiet, and by the time you notice it, he's already halfway gone. It's like a candle slowly burning out. You can't see the moment it dies. You just realize one day that there's no more warmth left. And here's where urgency comes in. Once admiration and peace are gone for too long, a man begins to rewrite the story in his head. He convinces himself that maybe he's not meant for this relationship. Maybe you deserve someone better. Maybe he's just not ready. He builds excuses to justify the emptiness instead of facing it. And once that narrative takes hold, pulling him back becomes 10 times harder. Because what's gone isn't just love, it's identity. He no longer feels like himself around you. He feels smaller, weaker, disconnected from the man he wants to be. And unless those two emotional needs are revived, he'll start searching for places where he can breathe again. But here's the painful irony. When a man starts pulling away, the woman he loves usually does the opposite. She moves closer, she texts more, explains more, asks more questions, hoping that love will pull him back. But what she doesn't realize is that this emotional chase only amplifies his internal pressure. He doesn't see it as love, he sees it as tension. And that's when the distance becomes permanent. That's why understanding what's happening is so crucial. Because the longer you ignore these signs, the deeper his withdrawal becomes. And once a man emotionally checks out, no amount of affection or logic can bring him back until he feels those two things again. You have to act before the silence becomes permanent, before he stops trying, before he convinces himself that leaving is easier than explaining what he lost. The truth is, most men don't want to leave. They just want to feel like they matter again, like they're admired, respected, and safe. And when they don't, they run not from you, but from the emptiness they feel within themselves. If you could see inside his mind, you'd realize that even as he pulls away, he still checks your messages. He still thinks about you. He still wonders what went wrong. But pride keeps him silent and confusion keeps him distant, because he doesn't know how to fix what he doesn't understand. And that's why recognizing the loss of admiration and peace early can save everything. Because once those feelings start fading, the relationship begins to suffocate. But when you bring them back, when he starts to feel valued and calm again, it's like watching him come home after a long emotional war. He relaxes, he opens up, he remembers why he fell in love. But you can't wait forever. Every day he spends feeling unseen and restless builds another emotional wall. And if that wall grows too high, it won't matter how much love you give. He won't be able to feel it anymore. He'll have already convinced himself that the connection is gone. That's why timing matters. Because men don't wake up one day and decide to leave. They drift. Slowly, quietly, emotionally, until the distance feels too comfortable to return from. But if you can reach him before that happens, before he fully disconnects, everything can change. When a man pulls away, it can feel like your entire world is falling apart. The silence feels heavy. The unanswered messages echo in your mind. You start replaying everything, wondering what you could have done differently, wishing you could go back to the version of him who made you feel chosen. But the truth is, it's not the end. It's a signal, because when men distance themselves, they aren't rejecting you. They're losing connection with the part of themselves that once felt alive with you. They're not running from your love. They're running from the confusion that comes when admiration and peace fade away. And that's something you can change, not by chasing, not by pleading, but by returning to the energy that made him feel drawn to you in the first place. When a man first falls in love, it's not just because of what you look like. It's because of how he feels around you. He feels capable. He feels seen. He feels calm. You awaken something in him that the world rarely does. You make him feel safe in his own masculinity. That's why admiration and peace are not luxuries. They're emotional lifelines. When you remind a man that you see his effort, not just his flaws, you give him back his sense of worth. When you create peace instead of pressure, you give him back his courage to stay. And when both feelings exist together, something powerful happens. He begins to choose you again, freely, fully, and without hesitation. This is what most women never realize. You don't need to be louder to be heard. You don't need to fight harder to be loved. You just need to make him feel those two essential things again, admired and at peace. Because when a man feels admired, he's proud to love you. And when he feels peace, he's afraid to lose you. So if you've noticed the distance growing, don't panic. Don't chase. Don't explain. Instead, pause, breathe, ask yourself, when was the last time I looked at him with admiration instead of frustration? When was the last time I made him feel calm instead of pressured? Because that's where everything changes, not in what you say, but in what he feels. And when he starts feeling those emotions again, his walls will begin to crumble on their own. He'll text you first. He'll open up again. He'll find his way back to the version of himself that only exists when he's with you. Love isn't about control. It's about connection. And connection isn't built through fear. It's built through emotional safety, the kind of safety that comes from admiration and peace. When he feels those two things, you'll never have to wonder where you stand. He'll show you, every single day. So if you're listening to this and your heart feels heavy, remember this: you haven't lost him. You've just lost the connection that made him stay. But connections can be rebuilt. The same feelings that once drew him in can be awakened again. And when they are, he won't just come back. He'll stay. Because men don't pull away from the woman they love. They pull away from the version of themselves that stops feeling alive. But when he feels admired and at peace again, that's when everything changes. He'll return not because he needs you, but because he chooses you. Every time.